Fishing fam, what is up? We are live Monday night live here early tonight because we have a very special guest. I got two guests in the house tonight.
One special, the other one's
the other one's special in a different way, and we'll discuss that later. Other than Knucklehead Revenge coming up in October, but again, we all love the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series because it gives the opportunity for a bunch of us to get together with our teams and have a great time. And but we'll get on to that later on in other episodes too. But welcome back to another. I'm gonna say honestly, this is going to be one of the final Gramps lives, and I'll explain that at the end of the show as we get ready to launch a whole new mission.
The cliffhanger just now.
That
the
bomb.
cliffhanger, yeah, seriously.
Yeah, just gonna drop that in. So this will be, and what a better way to end Gramps live than and to kick off a new adventure than with two people I really like hanging around with. Y'all know Darren. We do mash up live streams together on each other's channels and podcasts, and of course our good friend, longtime supporter of Fishing with Gramps, Tom Brewbaker, big man, brand manager of our favorite companies, Lose, Strike King, and MACH. I guess is that all part of the same bundle of joy. But we like to get Tom on. We try to catch him sometimes before I cast to get that sneak peek. But sometimes even my dude gets busy, and I'm sure this season you guys had a lot. It wasn't like in previous where you only had a couple of little things. Oh, we can discuss a couple. You guys dropped a lot of stuff this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, holy cow. But first, you've had a crazy year yourself with Mr. Kevin Van Dam retiring. And then we get a cliffhanger from Mr. Zona at the end of the last Bassmaster. And, surprise is surprise. Now, I'm sure there's more to the stories and the things and what they're going to be doing in the future that you probably know and you can't talk about yet. But, I mean, I'm assuming that I'd already seen Kevin has been out filming for his new show and stuff too, so that's pretty cool. But the world, I mean, that's Mr. Zone has been a hell of an announcer on Bassmaster for a long time too, so I'm just gonna let that slide in there and be like, oh man, okay. But I can tell by your smile that we're not going to be dissatisfied the fact that
No, Zona's the man. I mean, Zona, that's the thing. Him retiring or whatever, transitioning into something else, it's going to look a little bit more like seamless than actually it's kind of about the same because Kevin was still fishing tournaments this year.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you retired, but he's fishing heavy hitters and still had an epic finish in that one. With Zona, he's if not the greatest, one of the greatest personalities in the sport, in the history of the sport. He showcased it on Bass Live and Zona's awesome fishing show and everything he does on YouTube and all that. I would expect you're only going to see more of that. I mean, if you give this guy, 10 extra weeks to go and do what he wants to do, where he wants to do it. I mean, you're just going to see more Zona's awesomeness around.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to change at all. And, it's been cool to see Kevin branch out into I don't know if he would define himself as an influencer, but
right.
I consider him that now because he's not, fishing the top tours. But I think that they're both really good at educating. They both got great personalities and they're both fun to watch, doing whatever they're doing. So I'm very excited to see what Zona, figures out going forward. And JT, you said we go way back. You said long time. It always feels like we just met within the last year, but now that I think about it, it's kind of been like 6 years, 7 years or so.
Oh, wow.
It's been a minute. Yeah. I mean, it's way back in your previous days, and then you moved over, and it's like, holy cow, it's gone fast, but that's
you had like
awesome
300
too.
subs. You had like 300 subs in your
infancy stage.
Yeah. Now we're like 30,000 later, and it's just like, holy cow. But I mean, awesome. It's, that's been fun part of the journey too. But, we always talk about, whenever we get a chance to chit chat, just, catching up, it's always fun because I always love to see what your companies are doing and how they're focused on, things and, creating new products and, even when you had our dude from what is it, Hood Street Fishing on. I mean, I remember seeing him with fishing with Zona in like one of the Pro-Am things. And that's kind of where I kind of found his channel. But you talk about a cool everyday dude down in Florida who just likes to fish, catch and cook, fishes for any and everything. So when I saw him hanging out with you guys, and I was like, that's a great win, because that's a dude who just loves life, loves to fish. And you can tell he fishes for everything. You know me, I'm so stuck with chasing the green and the bronze, and but the fact that he's out there, just chasing like anything and everything he can find, it's really cool. So I thought that was a huge win, getting him, talking to you guys and knowing that he's going to be out there showcasing some of your stuff too. But that said, I've seen a lot of products. The funny thing was too, is I got into shopping not too long ago, and me, because of my partnerships, I try and play with a bunch of different rods and reels. And you kind of got me one day. I'm out there fishing in another hat, and I get this text, and I was like, well, that's an ugly hat. And I was like, well, send me a better one, But that's the funny banter, because with me working with American Legacy Fishing, I talk and review and play with a lot of stuff. But like I've told you, I've tried most of their high dollar stuff, and it still, burns up my thumbs. And for me, a lot of the loose reels just flat work. So I've been upgrading and swapping out a lot of my arsenal lately too. And it's like I was telling you, I picked up this Hyperspeed because when I say it, and I'm showing boxes because they're in my rod box from fishing this weekend. And literally forgot. I was like, oh, we're going live at 6. It's like 5:50, and I need to go sit down. But it's just like coming up with, a 9:5 to 1 gear ratio reel. And a lot of people be like, Jesus, what are you throwing that you need something like that? Well, if you throw a lot of jerk baits, or if you throw a lot of plopper style baits, buzz baits, something that you're wanting to burn across the water with little effort, man, this thing is amazing, and it casts a mile. And then one of the things
on schooling fish, where they just show up for a second and they disappear.
Yeah, just get it out, get it, and you might have to make quick cast and retrieve, and so I still, and me, the Pro SP for me has been my favorite reel of all time. And then you had to put the custom shallow spool in my hand at the Classic. And I honestly, I need to get some more of those too, because I love those shallow spools. I love not having a ton of line. I use that thing for skipping tubes and in weightless, stick baits, throwing those ochos around and stuff like that, if for bait casting goes. But then one of the things that's been a hole in my game is a Ned rig. And I keep telling myself that's something I've got to get better at. And we all, I've told you a million times how much I love the Scounge Bug, and the fact that you guys came out with the little Ned Scounge Bugs. I was like, you know what? I gotta throw a Ned more. So this year I finally broke down, and when you guys released that custom light shallow spool in a spinning reel, I was like, okay. And I took this up, and I was throwing some little baits around the White River a couple weeks ago. Had, like, oddly enough, the worst tournament of my season, one of them. Couldn't catch any smallmouth until after lines out, but I kept fishing. And then I caught a 17.5-inch smallie and was like, okay, the day's all better now. But I was using this because I was like, I'm going to put a Ned rig in my hand, and I'm not going to put it down until I start catching fish. And it actually worked. It actually worked really well. So since we're talking about loose reels, let's just start there. And the one I'm the most interested in. I know you guys come out with a few, but tell us kind of what you got and what you got, but when they're coming out as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got like a pile of stuff back here. So I'm just gonna reach behind me.
Oh wow!
I'm just gonna grab whatever. Actually, this one sticks out for a couple of reasons, but this is the one I think you're talking about. It's the Custom Pro. This is the Gen 2 of the Custom Pro. I wish I had the Gen 1, because it's a total reface redesign internally and externally. And the first thing you notice, obviously, it's 24 carats of gold right there. And you either feel one of two ways about it. You either think it's awesome, or you're like, that's hideous, and I would never throw that. And so internally, you're talking about like the discussions that we have during the product development phase. We have these meetings, and you'll have half the room that's like, we're coming out with a gold reel. What? That's ridiculous. And then the other half of the room is like, this is the greatest reel we've ever produced. So it needs to have a color that showcases that.
Yep.
And it's not the spool design or the ergonomics and all that really make it exceptional. It's the braking system. And at least for me, Lew's has like 6 or 7 different braking systems. So, you have centrifugal and your multi-setting and all these different things you get out of a braking system. So it's hard to really differentiate what makes one exceptional over the other. And this one, I would say, if it's possible to make a braking system sexy, that's what they've achieved here. And so it's got a Paramag braking system, and it's Paramag ITB is the one that this one has, and it's internally transferred braking. Inertia transfer braking. Almost got me there. Almost got myself. So the difference with this one and your typical magnetic braking system is, let me get it out of here. The way the magnets are laid out. And let me actually find another one for reference here. Here's a great one if I can actually. So this is David Fritz's actually his BB1 Pro that he just handed me at the Classic because he was done with the seminars, and he's like, you want this old beat up Lew's reel? And I'm like, yeah, if you sign it, absolutely. So I got a little David Fritz signature on there.
Yeah, let me get the old Crankbait Masters, actual reel.
Exactly. So you can see, it looks like he really has beat this one up. But the brakes there, the braking system, see, the brakes are actually riding along the outside of this ring right here. And so there's a lot more friction that's created from the magnets and all the internal workings inside of this spool and outside on this ring. So with this side plate, what you'll notice is a little bit more advanced look. Obviously, it's smaller, sleeker, but the magnets are actually inside of this little radial platform right here. So whenever I turn the brakes on, I'm either turning them on or off. See those little brakes?
Yeah, they're starting to poke out.
Yeah, so they're radially aligned. They're not sitting flat and flush up against this thing. They're actually retracting and extending as you adjust the brakes right there. And so then what you get is this gold little spool right here. And it's going to ride along the outside of the magnets, actually not making direct contact with anything. Those magnets, either you turn them on or turn them off, they're going to control the speed at which the spool is spinning. And the added piece here, this little gold ring, I call it the turbo disc.
Okay.
Whenever you're making a cast, this is actually extending out. And then as your cast is winding down before it hits the water, it's retracting back in, which guides your bait and the spool to a nice stop without a backlash or any sort of abrupt halt to your cast. Long story short, and I'm obviously not an engineer or very good at explaining this, but you're going to have something that is very resistant to backlashing. So that's the big difference maker here. So JT, you're talking about throwing a Ned rig. You can throw a Ned rig on this, or an 8XD, 6XD, big crankbaits down to small baits. And with minor adjustments, you can go out there and throw any bait in any conditions and not have to worry about the backlash because of this paramagnetic technology. Okay. And this is something that you're going to see not only come out in the Custom Pro, but it's going to be introduced across the full line essentially of Lew's reels. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
All those hypermag lovers out there, they may see it in there down the road.
They might.
Yeah. Now, was that wasn't introduced in the what was this? This is the first one this has come out in, right?
So
Or is this a second one of? Because I'm thinking there was another reel, maybe.
This is the first one the ITB has come out.
Okay.
And the ITB is separated by that gold ring that extends in and out. The regular Paramag has the radially aligned brakes, but does not have that added feature of the turbo disc reflecting in and out. So while you still get backlash resistance, smooth casting, really set it and forget it sort of feel there, you don't get quite the level of like automatic adjustability. And so that's, we talk about other reels out there that adjust with your cast, a set it and forget it model, that have, electronic components, things like that. Some of them, you got to plug them in. This is purely based on physics and doesn't involve any sort of electronics. So it's a very cool design. And I've gone through many sessions of having people explain to me why it does what it does, but at the end of the day, it casts good, and I like that.
Yeah.
That I need.
So I don't have to hear in my video.
Exactly. There's no. I wish I could give you a cast here real quick, but I don't really have the ceiling height.
No, I got it.
To do that, but yeah, it's very quiet. You don't get a lot of that cast that nobody really needs.
Now, a couple of questions that we did get asked because somebody wanted to know what the handle material is made of. Because people care about such things.
The handle material. I knew somebody on here was going to ask me a question. I didn't.
Yeah, it's like, oh, where's my box? You can look it up on the website.
Peeling back the onion on that question.
Yeah. Well, now you got me wanting to. I mean, I think it's. I want to say aluminum, but I don't know.
That's cool. We can look it up. And then somebody else, Liz, wants to know, do you have any future for future thoughts for any of the electronic type reels, or is this your version and better solution to that question, perhaps?
So the intention would be to never involve any electronics because, the way I understand it is you don't need it when you have this technology. They figured out a way through the spool design, the internals to really accomplish the same thing without needing to have electronic components.
Now I'm going to jump in on here too, because somebody asked what's going to be the retail price of it, but tell us that, but then also tell everybody what you guys have got coming up on Fishing Chaos, where they can actually give themselves an opportunity to win such a great prize.
Mm-hmm. Hey, who asked that question? I want them to guess what they think it is.
That was Austin G Fishing.
Austin, what do you think this cost? What would you pay for this?
I'm going to put it in the comments what I think. All right, here it comes. This is my guess. I could be way off.
So Darren's guessing 225.
I had originally put 250. I backed it down a bit.
Austin's guessing 230.
Well,
Liz also said she won a reel in the Strike King online tournament. So that's Darren and Liz is both.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, a lot of people are winning. We also have one starting literally in 4 days. So
I gotta get
I'm signed up. I'm gonna head over and sign up right now.
Well, so that backfired on me because I was assuming you guys were going to guess like $400, $500. It's actually it's $279.99.
All right.
Okay.
So you win, Darren.
$1. $1.
Well, so we also have the custom too that has the Paramag braking system, but it has the Paramag RX, which is the same thing as this one, but minus the turbo disc.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell us about that reel.
The custom?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's I'll just I'll save the guesses here. This one's $180. So this is obviously a new frame from the custom. The custom is, I feel like the ultimate sweet spot of Lew's reels because you get a lot of the bells and whistles that you get with your higher end reels, but they really are able to keep it within that desirable 180 in between that 100 200 price range.
Yep.
By not including things like the turbo disc portion of the Paramag ITB. It has the Paramag RX. Still a great braking system. You still get the casting control and the radially aligned brakes, but you're able to save a little bit on it by not having the full top of the line version. But I'd say bang for your buck, the custom, that's my favorite. So as far as just a redesigned spool exterior, I mean, I'm really excited about this one. And
yeah, I love the way those kind of reels fit in the hand too. It's like when that that red KBD reel first came out. I thought that was one of the best bang for the buck, reels that Lew's had ever made. And and there's other people, there's people they do a lot of comparisons to say, okay, what's the best 199, what's the best 150, 200, whatever. Everybody's got different budgets, price ranges, and areas that they fish in. But with a little bit more that you spend, a lot of the times you're getting just a little bit added features. But if you're not that picky and you're comfortable, fishing a reel that really casts and fishes well, it's I've got so many different. I've gone through so many. I mean, from when Luce came out with the first MACH 2, and then of course we all love the MACH Crush because that burnt orange is just like And then I was always a big fan of the green and black MACH series. I still got my backpack back here for when if I ever do boating or bank angling. We all know these days I spend most of my time sitting in the kayak, so I don't need it as much. But if I do need to go jump in a boat tournament with somebody, I've got the backpack right there. I can throw my tackle stuff in and grab my rod bag and run. But, for me, the Mach 2 was like one of the first like new kind of combos that I went like ham on and bought a bunch of them. And, that's way back early in the channel when I was still in the paddle kayak. And it's been a while since I've paddled a kayak.
Well, speaking of combos, I got another one you're going to need, JT.
Oh, yeah. I know what this is.
The Speed Spool LFS was the first bait caster that I ever purchased from Dick's Sporting Goods. I think it was when Lew's got back on the market again. And this thing has become, among anglers, I guess you'd call it a household reel name. I mean, in terms of quality at the sub 100 price point, it sort of set the bar. And then at the same time, Lew's came out with those MACH combos and set the standard for what you should expect out of a combo. The trend had become, a quality reel that had a rod blank that wasn't so much quality. And so you're essentially paying for, a reel and then a functioning rod. Well, Lew's changed the game on that by having a high quality rod and reel, in addition to having some just cool designs with that lime green, which I saw.
I own that one.
The Rock was out there throwing the Mach 2 today. I saw. Yeah. But yeah, Speed Spool LFS. This is the Gen 3. So it got that same spool redesign or exterior where you have that ergonomic fits right in your hand, recessed brake dial, a lot of the bells and whistles that that hadn't been added to the Speed Spool yet. It still has the P2 super pinion, all that was added with the Gen 2. But you just get a sleeker design. And
where'd the green go?
So this is the Speed Spool LFS. This is not.
Oh, okay.
This was the OG. Well, I'll call it OG. When Lew's made their comeback in 2010, 2011, this was call it their flagship. Was the Speed Spool, and so this is now the third generation, most popular item in the Lew's lineup, and now we have the combo with it.
And I see cork. I see cork. Yes,
sir. I gotta send you a few of these since you like cork.
I do.
This is the LFS rod series. Lighter, faster, stronger. It's $139.99 and
really
29 actions here. It's a new proprietary blank. It's the X30. This is the LFS or X3 blank. A bunch of spinning actions, a lot of multi-species actions for people that like to fish for walleye. So it got multi-species and bass-specific applications. Also for the people that like the forward-facing minnow pinging, we have a couple of actions in there as well that are perfect for that. And so it's just top to bottom, a lot of great offerings there at a great price point. And just
I definitely need to check those out because keep getting told that I'm getting a little bougie in my old age.
Well, this the light's not doing it justice, but it's got this cool blue color to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great looking rod, and you know, I'm part of the Make Cork Great Again movement.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm bringing it back in quite a few things.
I'd wear that shirt.
Oh, in a second. Well, I like it too because I can tell. I mean, you guys have made some changes because the blank is thinner than like a lot of the previous, you know, and so I'm really going to be curious to get my hands on that thing.
We also decided to come out with 4 new spinning reels all at the same time. You were talking about not having time for us to connect before the show. I'll blame it on the brand guys because, we decided to launch 4 new spinning reels all the same year, and then 904 SKUs of new baits on the Strike King side.
Oh,
to
wow.
figure out how to market all this stuff. It took a little bit of time. And then literally the day before I left for iCast, brand guys walk in my office and they're like, "Hey, we're dropping the pinger. We're dropping the pinger minnow at iCast. We're not holding it till the Classic. We're dropping it now." So we had to figure all that out. It was a lot of fun, you know. So definitely not complaining, but I could do it without the last second bait drops, but they're always exciting. So we can jump into the baits now.
Oh,
if you guys are ready for it.
I mean, you know me, I'm part trolled sometimes too. So the name of the swim bait, I was just like, yes.
All right, final copy swim bait.
There we go.
Right there. So it is a harness swim bait. It comes in a 4.75 and a 6, bunch of different colors. And I'll say this for all the swim bait aficionados out there. Calling it the final copy, you know, it's essentially a play at, hey, there's a lot of copies or different versions of a lot of baits out there. Yep. And we'd all be lying to ourselves if any of us said we only used one brand of bait all the time. That'd be crazy. There's certain things that other brands do better. There's certain baits that may look similar from 2 different brands, but they do 2 different things. Yep. I'll say it. If I'm throwing a mag draft around grass or trying to get a swim bait around grass and skipping it, a mag draft is a great option. If you try to burn it though a little bit, it tends to roll.
It rolls
so
over.
There's a different application where you may want to use something like this that tends to sink a little bit more. It skips great as well, but it's something you can burn. But every instance and body of water and conditions will call for different things. So this is not a don't buy mag drafts. This is a check this bait out because it's a different sort of feel, and you'll feel the difference. Shameless tagline throw in there. But
I mean, for me, the first thing I noticed when they started posting pictures was you can put the harness on the top or the bottom.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, because, you know, I try to throw a mag draft, but it gets hung up and stuck on everything that I do. So the fact that you can actually put it where you want, if you're in a open water situation and want the hook below, you can do that. But if you're like me and you're fishing over the top of a lot of grass that, you know, that hasn't reached the surface yet, being able to move that hook up to the top is going to be awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And there may be other baits out there like that do that. I don't know. I'm not a swim bait dude, but this one I want to throw just because of that ability. I've got some of the others, and I end up, you know, reeling back a bunch of grass. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. So
is that a magnet or a clip on the bottom?
It's a magnet.
Okay. Does it actually magnet? Because mag drafts don't actually magnet.
It does. And we went through several rounds. This is actually one that has a hook that's way too small. The final versions actually have a 2 sizes up from this one. And the magnet was improved.
So you're not sinking that hook. You're just letting it sit in the cradle.
Yeah.
Of the hook. All right.
I thought for sure when I turned it like this, it's going to be like, of course, it's going to fall off right now.
Yeah, right. That's what's irritating about the mag draft. For the first, I don't know, 10 times you throw it, it sticks up in there because of the plastic. But after that, he's like, every throw, I got to throw that thing back in there. Are you guys going to be making those in the 8?
No, we don't yet. We got it in a 6 and a 4.75, but there have been people calling for a bigger one.
I just called for it.
Yeah. Darren's out there chasing those giants, you know.
I need the 8-inch for the final copy. They got price on. Did we hear the price on that yet?
Do you have a?
Austin was asking about it, and I'm curious now too.
Yes, but before I say it, I got to go look at the most updated version because these tend to change. Right now, this is the most up-to-date version of what I've got on it. You're going to have the 6-inch at $10.99 and the 4.75 at $9.99.
Okay. Merlin says the hook looks small. Merlin, that's just his demo copy. He said there's the final copy of the final copy has got a hook that's gonna the hook's gonna be about 2 sizes bigger than that one. So that's his like demo to show us.
Yeah, and while we're talking about swim baits, this is the homing minnow. If I had to pick one bait, if we couldn't release anything else and I had to choose one, it'd be this one for sure. Little pre-rigged swim bait action there.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know Gramps is building combos for such nefarious fishing reasons to go along with my cheater scope.
Well, and so that's the interesting thing about this. It's so I love bass fishing. I love I love just the different changes that happen in the industry and how everybody freaks out about something and then they're like, oh, scratch it, change the plan. We got to design all new baits. This has actually been in the works for 3 or 4 years. It was designed to be the ideal pond bait.
Oh,
yeah, I could see that.
Yep. But then with the whole forward-facing sonar narrative, we quickly adjusted to it's a forward-facing sonar bait as well. We've actually had a perfect forward-facing sonar bait out for a long time. It's called the Baby Z2. And it's been out for years. And it's just adapted to that technique and that technology. It just works great for it. So yeah, this is another great one that would play well on forward-facing. We also have the Pinger minnow, which I mentioned, but I did not bring one of those back in here. But essentially it's this, but it's got a split, like almost prop tail that gives it more of the roll.
Gotcha.
This one has a good roll to it as well. And you have those little, little wings right there, if you will. But yeah, the Pinger, the tail's actually causing the back end to do this.
Okay.
Lock.
Really get the roll going. Now, are those going to be available without the jig head as well, or are they all just going to be pre-rigged?
They're all pre-rigged.
Okay.
I'll tell you, it makes a pretty good tube head though. Actually, once you lose the plastic. Yeah. But yeah, it's a 3-pack, and it's $7 for a 3-pack.
Okay.
And yeah, it comes in the 4-inch and the 3-inch, bunch of different. I mean, I think it goes for a quarter, 3/8, half. There's one more in there that an 1/8 in there as well. So
Tom,
a lot of different things you can do with it.
Question for you. You said it's been in the works for years. What is like the gestation period from ideation to final product? How long does that usually take?
Well, so Shane Fetty, he's actually here this week. I was trying to get him to hang around and jump on this podcast, so I'll have to have him back on later. Shane is obsessed with building perfect baits and making baits that most people would think are perfect, retooling them and making them even better. He's a mad scientist with it. So we held this one back because Shane was just making some adjustments. He thought it could be better. We wanted to launch it, 2-3 years ago. But you call it good timing when we actually got it all together. But typically, and I'll show you this one too, because it'll give you a better look at the internals. It just depends. Now for like a completely new product, just whiteboarding something completely new, I'd say you can have, a year to 2 years on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like a good example,
longer than I would have expected. That's
well, and it's project by project. So I'll tell you about another exciting one. See if I actually pulled it out over here. The 4-0 spin right here. So here's one that actually did not take as long.
Okay, yeah.
So it got a little 20-pound fluorocarbon there. And the best thing about this is if you lose that little blade, it becomes an awesome
there you go.
jig head there. So
yep.
And we actually have that jig head. It's called the Spotlight jig head. We released that as well.
Yeah, okay.
But like with this project, this one originated actually from Zona, and I'm blanking on the name of the guy that actually invented this, but essentially he came up to Zona at some event. Zona was fishing some tournament, and he said, "Hey, Mark, you want to see the greatest underspin ever made?" And Zona was like naturally intrigued. Of course, I'd like to see that. And so he showed it to Zona, and then where it would have been, you feel like a lot of companies maybe they would have taken that and said, "Hey, well, we can figure that out on our own. We can figure out a fluorocarbon, line tie and all that." But instead of doing that, we partnered with them, and it's a collaborative release, and he benefits from it as well. And so with a project like that, we found something that was great. We found a way to make it available at a national level, and then we're able to partner with somebody that's done a lot of the legwork on it to get it to where it's at. We have a couple of items coming out that are going to be off-cycle launches next year that are the same sort of case, where we partnered with somebody that was an expert that was already excelling in a certain field, and through a partnership we're able to bring that to a larger platform. So that's something that doesn't take as long as some things like like the homing minnow. So yeah, it really depends project to project. Some are less than a year, but a lot of them get to the, should we release this now? Let's wait till it's perfect.
Got you.
And that's
it's like one of the things I loved, like over the last couple of years, is when you came out with the tungsten thunder crickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, of course, you went to the wire tie. Everything that I had was whining about with the original thunder crickets with the rubber bands and the lack of colors, and and then you drop the tungsten. Here's my question for you, and if it's not in development yet, this is something you need to suggest to them. I want to see a Bitsy thunder cricket. I want the Bitsy cricket to come to life.
Get out of my head, JT.
Oh, 2 years, JT.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
But that's the next thing I would love to see, sometime down the road. I love the thunder cricket. And the funny thing is, everybody that's followed my channel knows I was big into the mini maxes and big into jackhammers and others. But the more I've thrown this over the last 2 years, especially since, the other companies talking about, oh, we're coming out with the tungsten, whatever. Well, somebody else already did that. Yeah. And they've been out for over a year now. But I mean,
if you don't know about them, then that's my fault. So
yeah. But I mean, my big thing is with these, my hookup ratio and keeping them pinned has been better with these than like any of the other ones, let alone the ones where the blade's coming off of the head. But I know you guys
about this, JT. Do you think that's because somebody told me I fish a football jig a lot, and I love the feeling of getting a bite and then knowing you can swing on them with all of your might, like a Carolina rig and a football jig. But somebody told me, have you tried reel setting instead of setting the hook with a football jig? Because when you go to set the hook on it, it actually pops their mouth open when the jig head actually hits them before the hook does. I feel like with that tungsten head, the profile is much smaller, slim the head down, and there's less in there to knock it back out of its mouth. So I feel like you connect.
I think it's a couple things, especially now. It could be a mental thing, but I think the blade design is a little better with this one. And the other one, it's almost built like a pry bar. And I have found that obviously, for those of us who have thrown these for a long time, glass rods were the thing. But now that you have technology and people making rods that aren't using glass, but that are using tapering, honestly, setting more with the reel than swinging to blow their mouth open, I think has also been because I find myself more these days really lifting and reeling and letting the speed of the reel do it. But then I honestly think too that the hook on this is a little bit bigger, and I think it's a wider gap. But I think the blade design keeps it from blowing out. And I think that's why a lot of people seem to have better success, perhaps, with the mini maxes because it's a smaller blade. But I do like the Thunder Cricket when I want a bigger, fuller size, bigger profile, especially when I'm working them, grass, edges and things like that too. But, and honestly, I really like the lot of the new color patterns that they came out, especially with these, tungsten ones. Even though I've got hundreds, I mean, I gave away like 30 bladed jigs to a buddy of mine who lost his box, and I probably still have 100 or so if there's anything that I collect and throw the most, it's bladed jigs. If there's anything I'm going to claim to be good at, other than getting better at a swim jig, it's a bladed jig. I've just had so much success over the years, along with now and I'm going to let you get back to the new stuff, because if you guys aren't throwing these little tungsten finesse jigs that Strike King came out with the scourge bug, I mean, I don't even know that I have any full size jigs anymore. These are like my almost, because it's like, for me, the Bitsy bug was always the thing. I used to always love the Denny Brow Pro model and all that. But when you guys came out with these, it's like I don't have anything but these in green pumpkin and black and blue, because that's all I need. And I buy these whenever I can find them. And I generally have to order them online. But I mean, I've caught so many fish between the cricket and these tungsten jigs.
Well, JT, you got a friend over here in Columbia if you need me to send you a few of them. You can't find them, you know.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, I absolutely love them.
Well, so you talked about downsizing a bait. So that's a good segue into this next series. But then I also want to backtrack on something that we were discussing a little bit earlier regarding forward facing and downsizing. But you got the Bitsy pad perch and poppin' perch that's going to be coming out.
Oh, wow.
This fall. Downsizing the frogs. You know, we downsized the sexy dog to the Bitsy dog. You get the Bitsy shad. A bunch of baits. You got the Bitsy spinner. That, you know, this downsizing trend. Again, something that, you know, initially originated as like a pond bait that is only becoming more relevant on the larger bodies of water. But
here come the frog jokes.
Yeah, so, you know, despite it being a little bitsy tiny bait, it's actually something I'm really excited about, because you can throw this on lighter braid, get that same awesome popping action out of it. So yeah, those bitsy perches are going to be great. Also, what else do I have over here in bitsy? I did not bring it with me. But one thing I wanted to touch base back on again that got brought up a little bit earlier, forward-facing sonar and sort of the state of where we are as an industry. I was kind of laughing about it, because you hear these narratives of, hey, forward-facing sonar is going to ruin the sport, or forward-facing sonar is the future. And it's kind of like there's this whole in-between spectrum of how people feel about it. And so I'd love to get y'all's thoughts, and also from, you know, the audience on not just about like the industry as a whole, but what do you guys want to see from Strike King? Like, Strike King it's a brand that means a lot to a lot of people for a long time, a lot longer than my time, you know, sitting here in an office.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like, everybody gets spun about the forward-facing stuff. Personally, I think you've got to have some baits that, you know, address the need to catch more fish using forward-facing. But you talked about downsizing, like the Thunder Cricket. I mean, I think that forward-facing is just a tool. It's just a mechanism, and the way you catch the fish is still going to evolve. And it's not going to be about throwing a jig head and a minnow. It's going to be about your ability to use the technology to catch more fish using every other old school technique out there. So, I mean, whether it's like custom colors or baits you want us to bring back, or like, you know, a stance that you'd like to see Strike King take. I mean, I don't know if we'll take one forward.
Here's my thing. I think in the whole fishing world in the United States, that forward facing maybe affect 10% of anglers across the country. You know, the only people that's really going to invest in it are people who fish tournaments, the people who want to go crappie fishing and, you know, spend their time a little more economically, if you will, because, you know, boats aren't cheap anymore. You know, so somebody who's going to spend that kind of thing, they want to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. I think as a brand as a whole, there's really no need to pick a side. I mean, build baits that, you know, people want to fish tournaments and whatnot with. But I think across the board, the vast majority of the people that are shopping are, you know, they're going to be hitting a pond, a river. They might be in a kayak, a john boat. or fishing on the bank, and you guys make baits and a gear at every price point across the board. Whether you're hitting your local Wally World, going to Dick's, Shields, or buying online, and if somebody gets into the whole tournament thing, they may care about that. But I guarantee you, probably your vast majority of your customer base are just folks who like to fish. And, whether they're chucking a bitsy bug or burning a spinner bait because they know, that's how you're going to catch them. I see a lot of people. It seems like they want everybody to pick a side. They want everybody to pick a side. I can go hand a rage bug to anybody and throw it on a Texas rig and just say, cast this out and reel it back in. The same with the spinner bait, and they'll catch fish. Is everybody got a need for a 5XD? No, but if you're like me and my brother who decided we were going to learn ledge fishing a whole lot better this year, he doesn't use forward facing. He uses his traditional side and down, figures out, looks at the maps. He's still a map guy. I mean, not electronic map, a map guy. And he'll go look at contour lines and figure things out. But he's been throwing a deeper diving crankbait, these 5XDs, all season long, and has been smoking them. But I mean, the forward facing is cool. I'm learning it because I want to learn it because I talk about it on, the socials, but that's not going to change the way that I generally fish, which is throwing a thunder cricket on and beating a bucket grass bank, or, skipping those ochos up into up under overhangs. I've used a lot of those baits, and it's just one of those things where the deeper you get into it, you can, because your general dude is not going to have the need for a 5XD or, for heaven's sake, a 10XD, which I really wanted to tie on the other day and see how deep I can get it to run. But rage bugs, especially the Magnum, I mean, I've absolutely loved that. I never thought I would go bigger, but Jeremy's like, you can't tell the juice. You can't tell the juice. Season's pretty much over. We have smashed so many fish on rage bugs this year, swimming them like a crankbait, because it just comes through like everything. You can fish these top water if you want. And if you've got we have a lot of these ponds and lakes that's got like that, I don't know what they call it, spider grass or mossy goop against the banks. But these actually, you can bring them on top of it. You can swim them. And a lot of our fisheries that are mostly, my brother's like, well, crap.
He's telling you to shut up. He's coming to your house right now.
But that for most of our season was the juice in these lakes that are mostly bluegill forage is swimming a rage bug, and they would just smash them. And so we've tried like every color, all the different sizes. Josh says he's going to Boggs in the morning, but that has been, like our juice all season long. Yeah. And I'm really wanting to throw that little dude on a Ned, because
we have a bigger dude now. This is a new
Oh, that's a bigger one. Okay.
In my opinion, this is the one that I thought we should have come out with initially. This is a 4-inch.
Okay.
And we launched the 3-inch first. I think this would have been like the core size you wanted to launch first. But the good news is now everybody's going to have access to them. Yeah. Awesome flipping bait. You talked about swimming that. Plug. I mean, this thing is it because it has these wings. The buoyancy on it is just awesome. It runs just parallel to the bottom. I mean, and it's just a great flipping bait because the action you're getting out of it is, free fall like this, where you get the little flange just kicking. As it goes.
And see, that's one of the things I tell a lot of people, and that's why I've liked the scourge bug so much is, when I'm flipping a little finesse jig, either they're going to hit it on the fall, but I've had just as many times where I may be 15 feet back from the bank and I was swimming it back to the boat and they smash it. They may have started, if they didn't hit it on the fall, when you start swimming it, it's it's just action that they can't leave. So yeah,
there's a lot of people free rigging this too.
I didn't even think about that. Yep, didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and if you want to rip its little arms off and have a little, mini little stick bait there, you got that too. So,
Yep.
There you go.
Great Carolina rig bait.
Now, I know our friend Liz down in Florida, she is an absolute fan of the hybrid hunter. So you had the big first size, and then you came out with a smaller one. Is there any plans to come out with an even smaller version of that?
Not next year.
Because it's not quite wake bait but I mean, I've thrown some of the. Yeah, that's that's gonna be a fun one.
Bring it back.
Yeah,
Liz,
that's what I'm talking about.
Send me Liz's address, and I will send Liz one of these whenever we get a final package version.
Okay.
And some hybrid hunters. But this bad boy, obviously, it's been out for a while, discontinued because rumor has it they broke the mold, lost the mold. They found it again. So this is literally the exact same bait that came out in the early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
Better colors, better hooks, but essentially that's it. I mean, it was a bait that was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting how trends sort of come back again.
Yep.
More technology advances. We're like, wait, we want the old school stuff. We want a bunch of pond baits now to go look at fish and throw at them. So
because that again, that goes what I was talking about with the final copy, that stays above that submergent grass before it's all the way up, and those fish are sitting down on that, and you bring that over the top of their heads. Because some days they don't want a buzz bait or something that's making a ton, but you run something like that over their heads, they're going to come smash it.
Yep. And then paint jobs. I mentioned that the paint jobs that was really the main difference in the original Wake Shad. How we have XD crankbaits. We have a bunch of new crawl colors, a bunch of new shad colors. Mike Russell.
Oh, I'm such
Mike
a sucker
Russell is
for
in the
painted.
house. Remind me, JT, we got to have one just with Mike Russell on here. That guy, he's awesome. He literally lives for painting baits. And like every other day, I'll get a call from him like, you got to check this out. You got to see this new paint job. It's amazing. But we now have, I think it's like 16 new colors. These are all hand selected by our pros working with Mike Russell. So Mike has a really interesting story. He was, I forget what he was doing for his career at that point, but he's painting baits on the side. And then I think it was like Mark Menendez, Denny, a few other guys started hearing about the colors he was painting. So it was like this hush, don't tell people where we get our custom from. And then he got hired, I think he was painting custom baits like full time, basically for a bunch of different anglers. And then he ended up working at Berkeley for a little bit. Now he's working at Strike King. And so you're seeing a facelift on a lot of our color patterns. You're still going to see like the OGs are going to hang around, but just a different take on, a few colors that, they just added a little bit of flair, and this one has a great, natural sort of feel to it. And if I had, Mike always walks around with a flashlight, and so you can see the colors with how they actually appear in the water and the sub layers of paint that these actually have.
And see, I am such a chartreuse blackback. I mean, anybody, anytime there's any stain on water, that is like my, and I know somebody's going to ask about Sexy Shad 2.0. I didn't know if you had anything there that you might be able to.
Man, I don't have any Sexy Shad 2.0. Wait, unless I just have a bag full of a bunch of samples. I don't.
Okay, we'll have to check it out on the YouTubes and the socials.
Go to Tackle Warehouse right now. They're doing. I don't know if they're doing a on them, but they're hyping them up a lot right now. So you can see everything Sexy Shad 2.0.
Yeah,
that's out there. Tackle Warehouse has got it.
Okay, very sweet, very sweet. Man, whatever questions you guys have, make sure you throw them in the comment section so we can get them to Tom.
When did this Big Bass Challenge come online? I feel like I've been looking, and this just popped up. You guys are paying out 1 through 20 for all 4 regions.
Yep,
that's quite bigger than it was earlier in the season. You guys, you're only paying out top 10, and it's free.
And it's free. Yeah. The last one was $10. Now this one, the added sort of benefit or package here, you can enter it for free. You can enter for obviously for all the cash prizes, the gift cards. We're also giving away the LFS rod, which we talked about, the TP2 rod,
Okay.
speed spool, basically everything I talked about, plus a whole bunch more. We're giving that out. And we're also doing the Big Bass Bonus Challenge, where people that enter a fish of 20 inches or longer at some point during the month are going to get a ultimate angler prize pack. That's valuable.
There you go, Darren. That's right up your alley, Mr.
Come on.
$1,000.
Mr. 2020s.
Yeah, and there's not like to win prizes in this. You don't have to go out and just like wreck them for the entire month.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. They make it so that a lot of anglers can win a lot of different ways. It's really cool.
Yeah, if you just score 5 fish that are keepers that are 14 inches.
Yep. And you can learn how to do that by watching Fishing with Gramps and Wendell Fishing.
Exactly.
You get all the tips and trips every week.
Yeah,
that's what we do this for.
Can I share?
You should be able to present.
Okay. Oh, it's making me go to my system preferences and all that. I'm not gonna be able to do it, but go check out. You go to fishingchaos.com, or if you just look up Strike King Big Bass Challenge, Big Bass USA, you'll find it. This is the second one we've done this year. The first one was a huge success.
Yeah.
The whole point of these is connecting people from across the country into a single tournament. And then we also have Team Strike King, which is a free membership. And inside of Team Strike King, we have monthly challenges. Right now, we have the Summer of Rage challenge, which is catch a fish on a Rage product, get a picture of it. You'll be entered to win something pretty cool there. We do those every single month. And
it's happening.
So this one is, it's a free tournament, but it's free for members of Team Strike King, which is a free membership.
Okay, even better.
But next year, we're going to have a full month where there's going to be a tournament every single month. It's going to tie in Strike King, Lose, MACH. There's going to be a monthly Big Bass in addition to quarterly qualifying tournaments that actually play into in-person tournaments. We're about to blow the roof off of this thing. So
that's really cool.
Get in on it now. You won't miss a thing in terms of what we're going to be doing next year. And I mean, first place right now in each one of these is a $1,500 cash prize and $1,000 Strike King Lose gift card. And then there's a bonus prize on top of that for the top finishing boater, kayaker, and bank angler.
Bank angler. Okay.
There you go.
500 each.
There's
like 19 different ways to win on this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign up right now. I'm not paying attention to what you have to say.
And for all those of you out there playing in the Catch-22, the Knucklehead, it's the same premise. You're just catching your fish, putting them on the board, taking their picture, catch, photo, release. That's what we've been teaching you guys for the last few years to get you started into doing stuff like this. And now, the fact that Strike King and others are actually holding stuff to promote the sport, whether you fish from the bank, the boat, the kayak, giving you all kinds of different ways to play. And, it gives you a little something more to do, a little bragging rights. With Freedom Squad, we're always yapping at each other about who's got the most this and that. And, it makes it fun. Me and Darren, I'll be sitting at work logging in for the morning, and then I get a 21-inch giant come across my text. So I finally got to give him some of that love back the other day when I was on the water. But, to give him credit, he put me on the old Strike King swim jig KVD. What was that? What was the KVD color of your?
It's a KVD Magic, and it's the Rage Swimmer 3.75.
Yeah.
Got it right there.
I've got probably 15 20s on the KVD Magic color.
In Ohio.
Some
what's going to happen, though?
What's that?
To your viewers that don't register for this, because it's free, remember. You're going to catch a 23-inch smallmouth, and you're going to think to yourself, man, I wish I had entered that. Because it literally takes one fish to win a bunch of cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why not? If you're signed up for any of these other tournaments, I literally go through and search them at the end of every month, and I'll have probably 8. I literally have 2 identifier cards because I'm in so many, a lot of which are free. And I signed up, I think it was in May, and you guys paid out money for the top 3, but then you gave a $200 gift card for like place 4 through 10, and I snagged the 10th place finish, and that's how I have my Lose Hypermag spinning reel, which incredibly
just grab a catch board, use Gramps, all lowercase, Gramps-10. Save 10% off of that. You just get the polycarbonate one. Oh yeah, there you go.
Hey, wait, that's on catchboards, JT?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can save on catchboards.
Hold on, I'm gonna add that. Can I add that to the tournament description?
Yeah, just Gramps-10, all lowercase.
Because I have in here I literally have it linking to Catch that says,
okay, yeah,
if you need a measuring board.
Yep, Duke will be happy to ship you one out and save a little money.
Use code what now?
It's Gramps, all lowercase. Yeah, I couldn't get the one that's all caps and 10. It's Gramps-10.
Who owns Gramps 10?
Yeah. I have Gramps-10 everywhere else,
Yeah.
but this one is lowercase Gramps-10.
Love it.
It saves you 10%.
Saves you 10% off. Yep. And so you can get one of the polycarbonate, or you can get a custom one like the rest of us do. Like we got Freedom Squad boards.
Oh yeah.
They got the fish ops that are the beautiful OD green. Yes, Liz, I was harassing him about that today because I know what you're going to say. But yeah, I mean, it's that, and that way anybody there that needs to grab a catch board, you can get one for a little bit less.
But we also have we're calling our premium Big Bass pack, which is going to give you 2 new iCast releases. Some of those that we discussed today.
Okay.
And an event T-shirt at the conclusion of the event. So if you want to get your hands on some of these early, you can do that as well. It's just $20.
Very cool. Very cool. I'll tell you what though, I am so looking forward to the Bassmaster Classic in March because my daughter now lives in Dallas.
Nice.
And my kayak trailer sponsor, Fish Texas Kayaks, he's actually going to have my trailer that he's building me that I can carry 2 fully loaded, ready to launch kayaks. He's actually going to build my next trailer. I've sold my first one and I'm hauling around a demo right now, but he's going to build me my own custom, and that's actually going to be on display there at the Classic. And then I'll bring him back his demo, and then I'll take my new one home with me. So yeah, I can't wait. And we're in Texas, and everything's bigger in Texas. 3 of my kids were born in Texas. I love everything about Texas except for the heat, which is now why I live back in Indiana. Because I need 4 seasons. I couldn't hack the heat. When I walked out one March morning and it was like 100, and I'm in a shirt and tie, and I was soaked before I got to the front door of my customers, I was like, I'm moving back to Indiana. Couldn't take it anymore. They say if you can't take the heat, get the hell out of Texas. I did.
It's a different kind of heat.
Now I'm up here chasing smaller fish, but I still love life and love sharing it with all the fine fishing fam and the crew that are in here with us tonight too.
It's awesome.
Well, Tom, I know it's been over an hour, and I know you stayed late for work, and you got a fam to get home to.
You're the man.
It ain't work. It ain't work talking to y'all.
I appreciate you, bro.
If I was better at checking my text messages, we could do this once a week, probably.
Yeah, probably could. I've always got something for you. But if anybody's got any more questions, get them in here. Other than that, I'm going to let Tom get out of here and thank him for his time.
Then you got to drop the bomb.
Yeah, wait. Was this your last? What?
This is the last. Yes, this is the last Gramps Live.
Tom's like, I'm not leaving until you finish up that cliffhanger you dropped at the beginning.
I'm gonna be working. So I was thinking about it.
You want to kick me out first? You want to kick me out first? And then
I don't want to. You can hang around if you want to. Fishing with Gramps isn't going anywhere. The channel itself is going to become just that, fishing with Gramps. And I'll maintain all my same partners and sponsors and people that we work with. But I want to get more into fishing and sharing the adventures and the trips that we go on. Whereas in the middle of all of that, I do a lot of reviews and especially stuff around kayaks. So one thing I've noticed is in the market around kayak fishing, which I think will continue to grow. I think, boats are getting to the point where a lot of people are going to get priced out of them. Gas prices are crazy. I see the kayak fishing community growing and growing and growing. So I'm starting a whole separate channel that's going to be completely focused on kayak fishing. And it's literally called Everything Kayak Fishing.
Wow.
So we will have an Everything Fishing podcast and, get Mr. Kayak Fishing Obsessed into doing the same things with us. But I'll have all the same. I'll be primarily focused on becoming like a kayak fishing media outlet, if that makes sense. We're going to review. I'm not going to. Everybody knows that I was once on the Old Town pro staff. I left that because I want to be able to talk about what? Hashtag all the kayaks, all the gear, all the accessories, all of the tournaments. We got to know Russ Snyders and Christine Fisher and Chad Hoover and Gene Jensen and so many different people in the kayak fishing space. I want to channel Facebook, YouTube, so forth and so on. That's completely 100% focused around kayak fishing because there's a lot of new people that get into this every year. There's a lot of big guys looking for their first fishing kayak. And, you know, they want people who've done this. And I was talking to Jeremy. It's like, bro, we've been fishing out of kayaks since 2010. We've been bass fishing for the last 40 years. Let's start something that's focused on that to give the people what they want and then get back to fishing and having a good time on Fishing with Gramps.
Just subbed, Gramps. I just subbed 52.
There we go.
I'll be able to say, I remember this when you were 52. I was your 52nd subscriber. There we go. 10 years from now, we'll all laugh about it.
But again, I think you know we've you know a lot of us that are in like the YouTubing space. It's hard to kind of be the end all be all for everybody and continue to grow. So if I want to have a space where it's all of my kayak reviews and rigging videos and actually helping show people just like Darren does, just like Bearded Dad does, and others, and then Fishing with Gramps can literally be just that. We're not talking about fishing. We're going fishing. So all of our fishing adventures with the Freedom Squad, and when I go fish with Tom and Darren and others around the country when we start traveling, that's where it's going to go on Fishing with Gramps.
When you going to start traveling? We've been talking about you coming fishing with me for like a year and a half.
It's coming, bro. Okay, you're probably going to see me within the next 4 weeks. Because in September, I'm not fishing any more tournaments. And then we got Knucklehead after that. So, yeah, I want to get back to fishing. But then, like all of our kayak-specific stuff, I'm going to throw in a different space. So, yep, that's where we're going to end with the Gramps Live. We'll have the Everything Kayak Fishing podcast. Now, that means, you know, even though I may have Tom talking about all the goodies, we'll be reaching that audience because it's everything kayak fishing. So, of course, rods, reels, so forth and so on, all the goodies. But, yeah, Fishing with Gramps will be just that, and that'll just be us and whoever we're out fishing. I kind of just want to separate the content, and I want to make, I've said this for 2 years and I still haven't done it. I want to start making fishing videos in the style of like John B, maybe something that you would actually want to put on your TV and sit down and take a break and just watch us clowns going and doing what we do and cutting up and having a good time. And you've seen some of that with me and Jeremy's fishing challenge when we went to Spring Mill State Park. We just filmed another episode that I'll be working on this week for that. Again, just of us fishing. So that's what we're going to be doing.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I feel like the only thing, when you invited me on the show today, I thought to myself about a half hour before the show started, I was like, all this is going to do is cost me a lot of money because I'm going to see all these new things coming out from Straight King. And then I'm going to turn around right after it's over and go purchase them all. So thanks.
We didn't talk about all of them. That's
Oh, no, you said you had 100 come out. We talked about like 5 of them. Holy cow. We need like a 10-hour show.
I was working on that times the colors and sizes and all that. Thankfully, it's not 904 new items, or I would
show me the crankbait.
Oh, SKUs are different. Gotcha. All right. Oh, flat-sided.
Yes.
That's going to be slick.
This has been in the works for 3 years. Mike Russell had a lot to do with this, and it runs just near perfect. It's a true flat side.
I was going to say that's going to have a really tight wobble, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't want to derail from what you just said, JT, because that brought a tear to my eye. And who's going to ask me to be on podcast now and make me feel like, you know, I matter? If you don't
you know what? We'll have to do a Gramps Live special edition a couple times a year. We'll have to do that a couple times a year since you're talking about all the fishing, all the things that we want to hear. So we'll have to do that as well. So maybe it wasn't the last episode, but we had to give people a reason to hang around to the end too, didn't we? True YouTubing fashion.
You're the best in the game, JT.
Oh, no, I wish, but I love the fact that I get to meet. The one thing I really love about doing YouTube is it affords me the opportunity to meet people like you guys and everybody in the chat that I would never have met in person. It's just a blessing, and I love the fishing fam community that we have, because it's like the people that I see in the chat every time that we have a live are people that I've now met in person. Most of them now at some point in time or another. You know, Darren and I got to sit down and share a stogie before we were on the water at Knucklehead last year, and we plan on doing it again. And you know, Tom, every time I see you out and about at one of the big shows doing your thing, it's always cool. I mean, it's like, you know, you put that shallow spool reel in my hand, and I mean, I've just enjoyed that like crazy. But I love seeing what you guys, you know, come out with, and you know, I'm obviously a longtime fan and always will be. I can't remember, man. It's just like Strike King has been so part of my life for it seems like forever. And I even found me a nice little $9 hat at Dunham's, and I was like,
where did you find that hat?
I couldn't believe it was at Dunham's Sporting Goods for $9.
$9?
And I was like, I'm snagging it because I don't have a good Strike King hat. So here it is. Boom.
Well, I was waiting until we got a bunch of new apparel coming out. So we're slim pickings on the website right now. So we got some cool things coming. So I'll make sure you get the full set or whatever we drop.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. It's been fun. I love doing these lives because I always love when Tom gets on and tells us about all the new goodies that are coming.
Heck yeah.
And
I must have missed your last ones.
Yeah.
I won't be missed. Well, there won't be any more. We'll just manifest it into kayak fishing obsessed or something. We'll just move it.
Bitsy Cricket.
Bitsy Cricket.
You could put my face on the logo.
It sounds like it's already in Tom's brain.
So I'm not trying to.
It might be in the works.
Gary Place.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to replace KBD, but you can put a Gramps logo on there called the Bitsy Cricket. I'd be all over it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, one of these days, JT, we're gonna have to actually like hit the water, and so we won't just see each other when it's trade show time and everybody's freaking out.
I tell everybody every chance that I can, I've got just over 1,300 days until I retire. And so
a retirement calendar, like clock that does a countdown.
Sitting on my desk.
Every time I send him a photo of a bass in the morning, he sends me a photo back of his countdown.
Awesome.
Yep. All right. With that, folks, I'm going to let Tom and Darren get out of here for the evening. Thank you all again for joining in, listening to the podcast, watching us live when you can. As always, get outside when you can. Like I did this weekend. BB, baby. My first actual kayak tournament win, especially against the Hammers in my state. It's official now. The scores came through today. Gramps took the dub, 92 and a quarter, the most I've ever put up in a single day. Talk about being stoked. And now y'all know it was done, most of it, with a swim jig. So, yeah, gotta love it.
Love it. And it wasn't, you didn't win by like a half inch or a quarter inch, folks. Second was 88.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was kind of surprised.
Thanked him.
Wait, sorry. I know you're trying to sign off, but I never got to talk about this because we didn't actually have the final version at ICAST. But I have to say this since you guys are both on here. We have a tour grade tungsten swim jig that's dropping early next year. I don't have the sample of it. We literally had like 2 versions at ICAST, and they were lead. They weren't tungsten, so we didn't put them on display. We are dropping a tungsten tour grade swim jig.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a few of them in your hand. Don't worry, both of you guys. So, yeah. That's also sorry. Anyways, continue with the sign off. I couldn't.
It's all good. Darren, go ahead and do your piece, and I'll do mine.
I got no sign off. I'm just happy to be a fun part of the party. Tom, great to meet you, brother. Thanks for I'm gonna keep finding these whenever you're on shows. That was fun. That was fun for sure.
Tom doesn't appear on a whole lot of other. I've seen him on with KVD and a few others, but I have been blessed to pretty much get the Tom exclusive a lot of the times. But like you said, we go back a little ways. So I'm blessed to have a great friend that I've had a great partnership with Losing Strike King for quite some time now, and it's awesome. And I love the fact that guys like Tom fished in college, has gone on and making a living in the trade, not just a pretty face, but as a hammer himself. And if you follow him on Instagram, you'll see all the Lose and Strike King stuff. But if you find Tom, you'll see him holding up some donks every now and then too, hanging out with all the coolest people that we know. So
all right,
mostly Photoshop. But no,
Tom and his buddy John. I gotta give shout outs to John because he's always liking and resharing my stuff. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, Gramps. It's been awesome to be on. I think 6 or 7 episodes now, and I always look forward to it. And I'm really gonna look forward to the next way that I work my way into your programs, one way or the other. So
yes, sir. Oh, it's always gonna be here. It's always gonna be here. And as always, folks, get outside when you can and make some memories, one cast at a time.